between lockdowns?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I think it was just as things, before things kind of started locking down again.
And were you in Mallorca before that, or Bishop's Castle?
So I was in Bishop's Castle, Churchdown all summer. But I had my van and I went like the Welsh coast and stuff. Like I was away every weekend,
Amazing.
basically. So it was quite nice. My cousin, who's like similar age to me, she is a teacher, so she had the summer off. So we were just like going somewhere every weekend, which was lovely. So managed to like kind of rekindle our kind of friendship. She's like the nearest thing I have to a sister.
Oh, lovely.
So it was nice. We went to Scotland. We went stayed at this really amazing campsite on the Welsh coast called Caerdydd, where you're literally right on the cliffs.
Yeah.
So like to sit in my van all day, just like reading a book and looking out to sea and seeing a dolphin was the most inspiring thing.
Amazing.
And then before that I was in Mallorca for last February, like for a month.
Yeah.
And before that I was here in Brighton. So I went
Amazing.
directly from Brighton to Mallorca.
Yeah.
And I was in Brighton for 2 months.
Yeah. Nice.
In and out. Bit
Yeah.
transient, shake it all about.
Yeah.
Best way.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm not really someone to live in one place, I don't think.
No.
I haven't done it for years, so...
The world is a big place. I mean, now's changed everything because we're now all forced to be stuck in one place. But this is just a blip in the ocean of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd see it as like, I keep on asking people all the time, like, what they're going to look back on at this time and just be like, okay, so what were you proud of during that time?
Yeah.
Like, what were you grateful for?
Yeah.
What did you create as a result of?
Yeah.
So I think that actually it's, if you think about like back in time, some of the most, well, if you think about even the Prohibition era and stuff, they come out of like, they'd had like the Spanish flu and they'd had like World War One.
Yeah.
And also like, and they were all poor, they were all super poor.
Yeah.
And they basically had like some of the, like the Roaring Twenties. And then also if you think about all of the, I think it's even like Disney and like Nike and stuff like that, they've all come out of periods of time where it's been like super hard.
Yeah.
And then actually times like these make us a lot more innovative and a lot more thinking outside the box. So
You're completely right. I mean, I am thankful for finishing so many PS4 games during this lockdown.
how productive.
I fucking enjoyed it. You know, like to be like, go to work and do that and I'll just play for a bit. And just to be like, fuck everything. I'm really reveling in this. I've really enjoyed it. I'm sorry.
I've really enjoyed it in a way because it's the first time I've been in one place for such a long time that I've actually not finished my PS4 games, but actually finished a lot of my online courses that I was writing and recording.
Yeah.
So I actually managed to kind of get myself like a bit more organised with everything.
Yeah.
But I'd always have the procrastination of like, oh, I haven't got time because next week I'm going to Germany to work. So.
So we'd always be like, for the little time we have, that is just sitting and doing nothing time.
Yeah.
But I mean, on a more serious note, it got me to adapt myself from, there's no gigs to photograph or bands to do PR shoots for because they have no money to do that. There's no incentive because we don't know when gigs are going to happen again. Yeah. So without Corona, I don't think I would have adapted to doing the documentaries that I started doing. Yeah. And I don't really know what else. But just, I've always wanted to do film, but there's always been like, but photography and, putting hurdles in front of myself. And now it's like, I want to do this. And as you say, with everything going on, this is such an important time to document what's going on and how everyone feels at the time, which photos can't really do because you make up your own story.
They tell only so much of the story. They don't have the voices behind and the emotion, the expression as well.
Yeah.
So when like lockdown and like kind of everything kind of crept up, like where like did
very sudden because I was for the first lockdown, the last event I covered was an all-day event at the Amish and Arms. You know it, in East London?
No.
And it was like an all-day hip-hop event with Christ, like fucking 30 or 40 artists. It was insane. It was so good.
What date was that? Been like the start of March?
Yeah, it was around March. I remember talking to my mate Harry on the phone when I was like outside in between bands, like, oh, you know, I hope this lockdown shit doesn't affect us because like, I'm, you know, in such a vibrant place and everyone's loving it and we're all together and enjoying everything. And then that was it. It didn't, like, everything just stopped.
Yeah.
No more events. The venues were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to postpone it. Everything, you know, no one's allowed to be social, so that stopped. Spoke to the guy who ran the company and he was like, Adam, I'm so sorry, I can't pay your last invoices for like the all-day event, the ones that I edited and sent off. He said because everyone is
basically like the bottom dropped out of the industry, doesn't it? Just overnight.
Fucked. Yeah, he was like, the venues aren't paying out because people didn't give us the money for the tickets, so like this domino effect of everyone being fucked. And so that really affected me and everyone, you know.
Yeah.
And so everything just stopped, and then it was like, oh, okay, right. I called up a job agent that I'm with, and I was like, have you got anything? And then I did that, going around London collecting the bikes during the first lockdown, which was, you know, very different to what I do, but it was amazing because I got to see London empty, and it was like an exciting treat because, you know, normally you go down fucking Oxford Street or, you know, Bond Street, any road in London, and you can't see the pavement because of all the foot traffic and everyone there, and then it's a ghost town. So I took my camera and I photographed like the empty streets, and it was great. And, you know, I'm doing a job where it's I'm getting out of the house. They were really good, and, you know, I'm on my own, so I'm socially distanced. I'm doing a job that is taking the bikes off the streets because people aren't using them and they pass on infection. So the company was being very responsible. And then as soon as all the bikes were collected, that was it. And then just everything stops. And
what emotion do you remember feeling around that time?
What feeling?
Like emotion, were you angry or were you sad or were you confused or were you relieved? Or
I felt it just felt really eerie and odd. Like we don't know what the future holds because it was this certainty of our rhythm of life, and then it just all fell out from under us, as you said, and we just didn't know up from down and what was going to happen, and everyone was just listening to the government reports every day on how it was changing, and then everyone's anxiety was just through the roof. But then, like, I noticed a change in my relationship at the time because, you know, we couldn't go out, we couldn't socialise, so we were only constrained to those four walls. She was going off to work, coming back. I was doing the same, and we couldn't go to the pub to relieve stress with our mates, and we didn't have things to look forward to anymore. We tried doing date night, like in the garden, and it was just like, it's like you're trying to convince yourself of this. I'm trying to normalise this social, what's the word? Social, it's been ripped away from us, kind of thing.
Isolation, essentially.
And it was just, I don't know, like, that relationship was doomed anyway, but Corona put a microscope under us, and I'm sad that so gave it the best we could, and that's that. But I know that because my work was so up and down, and she was going to work, she had this resentment for me that she was going out and coming back, and I was just in the home playing PlayStation, not doing too much. doing some photography retouching, but nothing too much because I couldn't really be social. But then I got the job in between the lockdowns in August. Got a job with the music PR company who wanted me to do it full time, which I gave up being Google Street View driver for, and it was like a dream come true because I was like photographing bands again, so that was back on. But then this was the different thing. So now there are events, but table service. And so, you know, like a lot of these places is a case of, well, no one, everyone's just in there together. And then it's like limited to half the capacity, and there's marks on the floor, and some places have tables, and then other places didn't. And then they kept trying to adapt the rules, like, oh, you can only do that if you have food and all this kind of stuff. But also, like, I remember in Dalston going to, like, photographing a few hip-hop gigs. As great as they were, you cannot sit down to hip-hop. I don't know what it is, but it's like, you gotta feel it.
It's the adrenaline, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, like, oh, God, it was so wonderful that the events and the artists were adapting and really still trying, even though it seemed like the future was doomed. Like, the hope was still there. And I believe it still is. Like, we'll always, as human beings, we'll always try. We'll always do and try to create because it's just in us. You can't not.
To adapt and evolve and things, it's human nature in a way. And even though sometimes we try to resist it, then the only constant is change, and change is inevitable.
Yes, exactly that.
The only constant is change.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people like change as well.
No.
So,
oh my God, yeah.
I love change actually.
Yeah.
I always put myself in a position where I have to change all the time.
Yeah. Variety is the spice of life.
Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how have you felt during the lockdown time and with everything?
So, like at the start of March, the 2nd of March, I flew back from Spain.
Yeah.
And I was basically going to drop off my winter stuff
Yeah.
at my mum's, pick up my summer stuff and go to Bali. And I was like, obviously that didn't happen. And luckily I didn't actually take the flight in the end, because otherwise I would have just, I don't know, had to have come back or something.
Would you have had to come back though? I mean,
really.
Do you not wonder, like, what would life be like if I was stuck in Bali?
Yeah, well, a lot, like, some of my friends actually did get stuck there, and are still there now.
Yeah.
So, it's been like a bizarre time, I guess. Like, I think I would have been very frightened.
Yeah.
And I think because, like, now actually with the second variant or whatever, it's been like the uncertainty has come again. But I think when Corona first hit, like, we had no idea how it was going to affect us so much. So, like, it was that uncertainty, whereas now, in hindsight, I would have been like, you know, I'm young, I'm fit and healthy, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But then you worry about, you know, what if your, like, parents are sick or your family are sick?
Yeah,
like,
it's changed everything.
Home to be there with them and things. So I think I'm really glad that I made the choice in staying in Wales with my parents.
Okay, good.
And it was a very nurturing time because I just spent the last 4 years basically living out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
So actually to be in one place and know that I don't have the pressure of, oh, you know, my friends are doing this, or I could be there doing a job work contract and stuff. It was actually the first time in years where I hadn't had that feeling that I wanted to be somewhere else. So it was super grounding.
That's lovely.
And the start of it was like, I remember feeling like a huge grief and like just going and like, I don't know, just not having any motivation to do anything and just walking the dog, and I literally felt like someone had died. Like that's how it felt.
Yeah.
There was like a grief for like my lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really well said.
So maybe it was that, and then
God, I've never thought about it. Sorry, I'm just pondering on that.
Like it was a huge amount of grief, like to think like how same as you, like all of my work dropped off.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like normally if my work dropped off, I'd get a job in a pub or something like this. But obviously that wasn't possible. So, like, I don't know, I just stayed at home and I thought, right, after a little while I kind of pulled myself out of that like grief. I remember like being on a Zoom call one evening with like two of my friends just like crying. I was like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know how I can. And then that was a really good turning point, because then I actually just pulled myself back from that feeling and then was like, right, I'm going to do something positive. I want to look back on this period of time and be proud of what I've achieved, what I've created. So then I went on to write and record 2 big online courses at the same time, and then running like live sessions and supporting loads of clients and stuff, and everything just like went from like nothing at all to just really taking off.
That's fantastic.
So I'm glad that I'm glad of that time almost in a way. So
you've really adapted. And so with your clients, I'm guessing you're working with a lot of people that are also doing the same thing, that have also adapted their frame of mind to turning lemons into lemonade and making it work for them. But have there been any clients that have felt helpless, like what's the point kind of thing?
So like I work a lot with like creatives, and it's mostly, I would say most of my clients either fit into either wellness or leisure, or the creative industry. So there's some of them that I've been telling that they need to get themselves online for years, and this has really given them the push to do that, which has also allowed me to then rise up, because everyone's new to being online and I've been doing it for years, so now I'm like seen as the expert, I guess. So like everyone will be like, oh, how do I run a Zoom conference? And I'm like, okay, let's have a chat. I'll show you. Like most people were able to sort of adapt in some way, but my clients who own hotels and work heavily in tourism, they've been really, really affected, especially when they've had to pay like full for their rent as well, and like particularly the ones in Spain, they had absolutely no support at all, and it's just gutting. Like as soon, like every time there was a lockdown, for people who've got bars, restaurants and hotels, I've just like literally just cried my eyes out for them, because there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do, and like if they're like with some, there's a certain amount of takeaway they can do, but that's still not going to match their profits. Because they still have, you know, they're still paying rent, they're still paying all the taxes and stuff on the place, and then also if it's tourism too, like they're essentially people aren't there. And also wedding photographers and things like that, you know, they have no idea when people are going to have the faith to book a wedding abroad again, because it's all tourists that come to Mallorca and they have their wedding and stuff, so they have no idea when people will feel like, because these things they would book and pay their deposits like 2-3 years in advance. So when are people going to feel like okay enough to be like, I'm going to book and pay for my wedding in an island in Spain? And also of course Brexit has come in as well, so that's another topic for another day, I think. One that's very sensitive to me at the moment.
I actually photographed a wedding in Scotland in October, but you know, being on the phone to the couple, they're good friends, and they had to change venue 3 times in a week, because they first had a manor house booked, but then the rule of no more than 20 people came into effect. So in that venue with all the staff, that's basically 20 people, so they couldn't do it. So then they looked at the wedding in the bride's parents' garden. But then the rule in Scotland came to effect of no garden parties, so that was out the window. So last minute, they managed to book a fucking castle.
Wow.
And so it ended up being the best
yeah.
situation out of complete travesty. But you know, the bride, she was just completely understandably really upset and traumatized about you know,
because it's
days
you know, it's
before
just
it.
you know, something they've been planning for a very long time, and like you know, to have the thought of like your dream ripped away from you, because they would have visualized it for so long.
Absolutely. But it was such a wonderful day, and I felt very honoured to not just photograph it all, but to be part of this really small gathering. So it had to be 20 people again.
Yeah.
But it was intimate, but grand and wonderful, and oh man, yeah, that was great. But yeah, the wedding industry is like all industries. Just if there's a social element to the industry, it's on hold right now. Couple of bars that I loved. There was a bar that got closed down a few months ago in Soho called Crowbar, and it was such a great place to go to. It's on like Tin Pan Alley, if you know it, where everyone goes for guitars and all that kind of stuff. So it's known for that cool culture. There's like a rock bar and a rock metal bar, and it's just the best friendly atmosphere. And before Corona, everywhere around Soho had giant whiteboards of there's buildings, construction going on the other side. So you felt like the walls are closing in, think the pressure's growing and growing. And then there was a venue around the corner from it that closed a year ago or something. And then just Corona happening, and then they're not getting the bailout. I actually watched a little documentary about it a couple of days ago, really incredibly well put together. But it was heartbreaking as well, because on Facebook the guy who runs it put a photo of like a tombstone of the Crowbar, died I think August 2020, killed by greedy landlords or something like that. And it's just fucking heartbreaking. Like, our culture is being killed. And now there's another bar I love, the Black Heart in Camden, if you know it.
I think I have,
Yeah, they have amazing gigs upstairs, and it's independently owned. And they're just, right now, they're like, we're fucked. We need to raise $100,000. And you know, but everyone's reposting. I'm gonna like auction off 3 prints and do it for them. But actually, I need your help with this, because I don't know what I'm doing. For like, if I want to auction off 3 photo prints of like Ozzy or someone like that I've taken, but I don't know how to work it. Like, am I linking their crowdfunding page? How do I do a raffle? I'm just like, I want to help, but the technical how I go around organising that is kind of stopping me from doing it. And I'm like, how can I help? Like, I have this, I want to help, but how do I use the tools to get there, kind of thing?
I guess you either do your own crowdfunding page, but it might be better off just to give them that and ask them to set it up.
Well, they've messaged
legit.
me, and they said they really appreciate me offering that, which is great of them, but they said a few artists are doing the same kind of thing. Could you organise a raffle through your socials and link us, and then we'll post it? So within that, I'm still like, I don't even know how to do that. So I need to work on that. But
maybe like the crowdfunder yours then, and just say that it's endorsed.
But I mean, surely I should link their crowdfunding and just be like, drop me an email when you've donated and I'll give you a raffle number. Would that work?
Yeah, or maybe like drop me an email with your with a screenshot
of your pledge, and you'll get a raffle
pledge
number.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You know what? Just talking about this out loud is really simplifying it. Okay. I'm overthinking it.
Verbalizing it. Because it's like you put because you are like, oh no, it doesn't work, but you just kind of like block it, then don't you? Then when you verbalize
they were like,
it.
just do it yourself. I'm like, I don't know money on behalf of you.
I think like that is also another thing as well of like these times, like people have had to like swallow like I'm not sure whether this is the right term really, but like kind of like swallow their pride in a way and ask for help, whereas they're not used to asking for help on a lot of things.
I feel like in 2020 and when all this happened and when there was just more people than ever on benefits, I feel like this is the year where there's no such thing as shame.
Yeah.
Because we're all in it together and we're all fucked together. And that's kind of like a nice thing to come out from it.
Yeah. This is something actually I wanted to mention before, but I forgot. Was so I have chronic anxiety. I've had it for years, and it will flare up and it won't. It's just part of my personality and who I am. But with Corona, I would say that for the first time ever, I felt normal. Well, not like first time in my adult life, I felt normal because everyone else's anxiety rose up to meet mine. So I'd have like these irrational worries of like, what if that and and like I always had them, but now everyone else has them as well.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, people understand. Like I can say to them, oh, I don't want to do that today because I feel anxious.
Yeah.
Like now I feel like people with anxiety, actually it's given us a voice that we can actually talk about because people can relate to and empathise their anxiety. Yeah. It was so weird, like when I realised that, because during lockdown I was like going for huge walks as well at the start of it, and that was just one of the things that came to me, and I was like, I kind of feel like normal in a way.
That's really good. Yeah, I feel like I don't fit into, like, living in 8 years in London, I don't fit into the rat race too much. Like, everyone's on that hamster wheel. And I'm like, what are you rushing around for? Like, I get it, like, I need to get here for this certain time, and then everyone's in that frame of mind. But it was so nice to see the calm and the emptiness, and it made me think, well, I hope everyone's taking a breath.
And it was so beautiful seeing, like, on the, like, in the media as well, like, the dolphins returning, like, to the canals in Venice, and, like, seeing, like, how differently the, like, I don't know, how nature just really had time to rise up.
Yeah, the benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's, I've only been here, is it like a month now? I think less than that, but
when was it? Start of January?
Well, yeah, it was meant to be January, but because of lockdowns and moving out of the flat and all these things going on, I didn't actually get here till like, I think the 14th, so it was, oh, you're right.
No.
Yeah, I know.
It's like the wind all the time. It's like my eye stream.
So second week of January in here. So I think 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, we're at the end of January I think now.
Okay, so 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Been in 2 weeks.
Monday is 1st of February, so it's like
God.
It's in bulk. It's like the very start of spring.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, like I had no idea how much internal satisfaction I felt just looking at the sea.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't realise how landlocked I was, the frame of mind of, you know, like every day in London there's a park near my house, so I would go over the road and walk around the park, but I just felt this like, oh, you know, everyone's getting a bit too close and I need to be on my own, like, you know, you're internalising that. I wasn't shouting at people or anything like that, just like, oh, be left alone kind of thing. And here, you know, there's people walking around, but it's like everyone's just doing their thing, and I don't feel that need to protect myself as much when I can see the sea. There's something
so deeply satisfying, right?
Yeah. I feel very lucky, and like I didn't know what I was missing until I moved here. Yeah, and now I never want to be without the sea. It's wonderful.
Like what I said about the only constant is change, and like just watching the waves we're saying as well about like the bottom dropping out of the events industry.
Yeah.
I was chatting this week with my friend Natasha, who I went to school with in Bishop's Castle. She is an events coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
So she would run like the info tent at all the big festivals and things
cool.
like this, and do like running South Bank Arts.
Amazing.
Arts festival and things.
Yeah.
She's a coordinator at the COVID Centre in central London.
Wow.
And I just love how she's adapted her coordination skills from one industry to another.
That's amazing.
As needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people in the events industry that have just had to adapt. Is that Tyreek holding that?
No, it's not. It's the wind. I just thought I'd put it down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to pick up. I don't know how this is going to work out.
Yeah.
Like, it's windy.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So there was, I know a few people with lots of conversations about one person was like head of lighting rigs at giant arena tours, and now they're like assistant manager at Juicens, and it's like, it's great that they're working, but that
it's also super sad as well, isn't it?
you know, like for the industry, for everything to be hit, to be crushed down so much when you're making it, when you're doing it, and then it's like life takes over of living or dying, and we all have to be thankful for just being alive and not having corona. And it's like, okay, I am, but I shouldn't feel bad about feeling disenfranchised or broken-hearted that we're not able to carry on doing what we love and we feel that we're really good at, and making money at our passions. And it's just really I don't know, I'm struggling to find the words, that it's just fucking frustrating that we're all having to conform, and now I feel like with so many things that when you're just doing something and then something doesn't work out, or you can't get a certain thing, or I'm sounding very vague right now, but basically I feel like there's a modern day phrase that has been adapted from, people who are just working in security and be like, you can't do that, health and safety, and now say, you can't do that, corona. And it's just like, no matter what you do, and you can't argue. It's become
a very good excuse for people just just to be annoying.
Like you can't argue anything.
As soon as someone uses that, it's just like, oh, you can't argue against it. But I'm like, I've always kind of like sat with the stance that like the thing that fucks up your immune system the most is fear.
That's a very good point.
We're all fearful of it, then obviously we're lowering our immune system, and and it, oh god, you remember all the conspiracy theories, and like everyone just like all the fucking monotonous
you say that
messages.
like it's in the past. It's still fucking going on.
It's not quite as much now, but like all of the bloody WhatsApp messages you get forwarded, and on Messenger as well, just all these videos and talks and and then all of a sudden everyone became a doctor. Everyone became a fucking scientist, right?
Yeah.
And everyone had their own opinion about things.
Yeah.
And then it's just like what's the one constant that everyone talked about in like literally, no joke, about 99.99999% of all conversations were started with COVID or lockdown situations.
Or I'm not being funny, but
and really hypocritical conversations as well.
And everyone's frustrated, and everyone is now just on Facebook or their socials and just splurging out this toxic shit of feelings, and everyone's putting feelings before facts and opinions before doing constructive things. And I feel like in a way we're about Tracy from Hertfordshire? Why should we give a shit? You know, it's like, it's one person's opinion that doesn't dictate the whole nation, yet the news outlets are trying to force it to dictate the whole nation's viewpoint.
Yeah.
And it's completely wrong. We're going in the wrong direction. We need to be moving forward. We need to be creating and being constructive, and not spending and wasting so much time on how what Sharon said to Tracy offended her and how it made her feel. What good does it do? And I love the Ricky Gervais quote of, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. And yeah, that's about what I've got to say about that.
Yeah. It's got cold now, isn't it?
It's fucking cold.
Yeah.
My hands
have you had all your...
No, I've just had... What have you gone for? I might have the flapjack if my hands can pick it up, because they're going numb. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is brownie.
It's so moist and lovely. Sorry, that's not a good word to say, is it? Oh, like buttery. Food and sea and conversation.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we got. And also, look, we've adapted. We're doing this.
Exactly, meeting at the beach.
I like to think that we would have still done this kind of podcasty thing without a lockdown going on and all this. Maybe it would have been with a quieter setting behind, but you know, I can't think of a better place to do it, to be honest. The sea, something that doesn't rain.
That's what I love about, well, never been to Brighton in the middle of the summer or anything, but
no.
What I love is just like, it's such a communal space where you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
And everyone's so forgiving because it's Brighton. It's just like, you can act how you want.
Yeah. I'd never been here. So around the beginning of December, I was photographing this band and making a documentary about them, Planet for Sale. And I told him that I was going through a breakup, and he was like, come and stay with me, man. And I was like, that's so fucking lovely, thank you. And so I stayed for the weekend, and but he was living with his mum at the time, and so the flat was a bit small, but bless him, he was giving up his room for me. Like, that's insane kindness that I've never experienced, like, all during all this kind of stuff. It's just amazing. But the truth is that, you know, his mum lived there as well, and everyone's, as you said, anxiety levels are different. And, you know, I was this guy coming from London where lockdown was, you know, and Corona was a lot more infectious than it is in Brighton. And so it was such a lovely offer, but I was like, dude, I can't take your room. I just couldn't do that. And then at the gig, his mum said, does anyone know anyone with a room? And then my housemate was like, yeah, I've got a room. And now I'm here. And that's how it all happened. And it's like, fucking life is a magical journey. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's similar to like, it's like a lot more like kind of longer time frame. We have a dog.
Hello, Lily.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I arrived here like last November. I think I told you this already, but November, not last November, the one before.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't know where I want to be. Put on Facebook, anyone need any house sitting? So my friend was like, yeah, come and stay at my place in Brighton. Spent 2 months there. And then during that time, a client / friend of mine in Mallorca, she happened to be in Brighton for New Year, and she was like, oh, come to my friend's house, they're having a party. And I walked through the door where I live now, how I met them.
That's amazing. Oh wow.
And they had a lodger.
Yeah.
And I said to them, if your lodger ever moves out, let me know. I want to be like
Did you
first
say it
dibs
when they
on
were
this.
listening?
No.
Good.
And then their lodger moved out because of COVID, because of lockdown.
Yeah. We have another housemate who I haven't met yet, who she's staying at her parents'. I don't know where she's based, but her dad's been saying, well, I'm not driving you there until lockdown's lifted. So, yeah, there is another housemate. I will not say her name because I haven't met her yet or anything. But, yeah, it's changed everything. It's changed all of this. And, yeah, also, like, before moving in, I was asked, do you mind as soon as you move in to isolate for a week or get a test? And so a few days before moving down, where I was, I went and got a test and came back negative, which I'm very thankful for, obviously. But you know, it's just like, be responsible. And it's also really tough because, you know, like with when that crazy lockdown in London happened on the 20th of December, literally giving people 4 hours to get out, everyone ran to the train station.
Yeah.
So it just fucking maximised panic stations for the entirety of London. And most people in London were going to go back to their families for Christmas. And then to be told last minute, no, you can't.
Yeah, it was just... It literally was just like the Grinch had made his message, right?
Yeah, it was just completely irresponsible, you know, because you're forcing everyone that has the maximum risk of infection and spreading infection to then spread it all together to then go to the rest
on the same train.
Exactly, to then go to the rest of the country to spread it. It was the dumbest fucking decision. Like, it
was so traumatic that day.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this before, like you have huge trauma about that day. Like, what the fuck? Like, how am I meant to get out here?
Yeah, like I was not going to go on public transport.
Yeah.
To risk my mum and aunts and everyone that I was going to go and stay with up near Shropshire. And so I had to say to my Mum, I've got my car got stolen, so I couldn't drive back. So I was like, I've got two options. One, I can rent a car tomorrow when lockdown comes in effect. But if I do that, with Enterprise, you can pick it up in London and drop it off in Kidderminster. But I don't know if I'd get arrested for doing that, because I'm going from one area to another, even though I'm in a bubble in a car. Or, would you mind please possibly coming and picking me up this evening, and I'll drive back? So she did that, and then I put loads of stuff in the car as well, and then I stayed up there for 3 weeks, and it was actually, I appreciate her doing that so much, because she's not used to doing big journeys, and especially like last minute,
like get in the car.
Which, she did a great job. She didn't panic about the directions too much, and then I spent 3 weeks with her. I hadn't seen Mum in like nearly a year because of this. So I was just so thankful to go back. And it was just one of the best Christmases and New Year's I'd had. Because I can't remember spending New Year's with my mum,
Yeah.
And it's just like, it really simplified the importance of what matters in life. Family and friends, and my relationship with my dad is very up and down, and with the start of Corona, it just made me think I can't lose him. I can't lose him, especially with frustrations between us. So I reached out, and now we talk once or twice a week, and it's like I feel like I've got my dad back, and we talk, and we're not so resistant of each other's opinions. We're more accepting of each other.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really helpful, with this
it
lockdown.
has brought people together, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, yes, there have been some silver linings in all this. Would I have done that? Because with London life, it's like, oh yeah, I'll do that tomorrow, but I've got loads on, and also like with friends, you know, in London, you say, oh yeah, we'll meet up next week. 6 months goes by because everyone's like, oh, so much to do. But yeah, I've been talking to lots of people on the phone.
Yeah,
and that's been
I've
wonderful.
enjoyed, like, it's like kind of, you know, it's definitely a daily occurrence now. I catch up with people on Zoom and stuff, and probably socialising more than ever, but just not that much in person.
Yeah.
Hardly anything in person. But, I hope that I hate it when people just start an email and be like, keep safe and well in these unprecedented times. I'm like, it's like, stop telling me to keep safe and well. I just find it really patronising. Stop it.
It's like, be strong. You can do it.
Stop asking me if I'm safe and well. Like, you know, it's not a fucking plague of locusts. Like, I have a rant to say in a minute.
Yeah, my housemate said it amazingly well. She said, I'm not working from home, I'm stuck at home and having to do my job from inside my house. I'm paraphrasing, it was something like that, but it's not, you know, working from home sounds, it's that old phrase of when you had a day during your week when you're working from home, but it's not. We're fucking trapped, and you've got to carry on with your job and whatever you do in these situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what was my rant? It seems to have gone. What was my rant? I had a rant about something.
Signing off emails.
Yeah.
Keep safe and well.
Keep safe and well. One thing that's really annoying me about now is that, like, saying, I haven't left the house all week is now, like, seen as, like, a sign of sort of, like, credibility. And I hate how people are just not going out, even for a walk. And it's like, you know, you can still go for a walk and there doesn't seem to be... And then people just, like, naming and shaming people for, like, I went to the beach and it was so busy. You know, all these people, why are they here? They all should go home. And it's like, well, you're at the beach as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So what leg have you got to stand on?
It's like people in a car in a traffic jam complaining that there's too much traffic on the roads. That is part of the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. They're also part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, just people not taking responsibility for that. And it's just like 2020 is definitely like, never before have we seen isolation as sort of like a badge of honor. Like, you know, I haven't seen anyone for 6 months. And actually how much that takes a toll then on our mental health.
Yeah.
And how like maybe it was a bit different for you because you had like a bit of work and stuff like that, but because I was in Wales at my parents' house, they were both key workers out at work.
Yeah.
You know, having like really lots and lots to put up with at work because my mum was running a farm shop, and all of a sudden everyone had turned their backs on the supermarkets. They all went to the farm shop, and their business had, like, you know, quadrupled.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, like, you know, there's kind of like they all seeing people day to day and stuff, and I literally would go, like, apart from seeing my mum and dad and maybe my neighbours, I'd wave through the window at them or something. I hadn't seen anyone or really been anywhere for like 6 weeks, 2 months or something. I remember that first time going to a supermarket and being like, oh my god, where's my bloody rescue remedy? Like half a bottle of it, being like, the fuck? Like, it's actual 3D people. Yeah. And like, I can't imagine like what, and like I was talking with people on Zoom like all day, every day and stuff, like working, and it was just like, it was so scary going into a public place again. So I can't imagine what people are feeling like who've been in quarantine, you know, for shielding and stuff like since last March. How they are going to feel when they come back into like the real world. It's going to be fucking traumatic.
Yeah, like the modern equivalent of like shell shocked or something. Like everyone is traumatized from being isolated, and as British people we're very kind of reserved anyway, and now we've got these extra extra barriers of you're not allowed to see people because it's life and death, and like you're not allowed to be a normal human being. It's really tough.
Yeah.
But were you in Wales? Were you still like going out for walks every day?
Yeah, but you see, on the edge of a village.
Yeah.
Where literally at the bottom of my street it's all country lanes.
Yeah.
So I would walk for miles and miles and miles with the dog, and I just wouldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
The roads, I literally wouldn't even see a car.
Well, the government would approve of that. Of what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see anyone. One of my like highlights, right, as like entertainment. So I this is really funny. Okay, so obviously I'm someone who likes, unwind at the weekend. I love to just like go to the pub and have a drink and like chat with people and stuff.
Yeah.
So what I was doing was actually putting some cans of cider in my bag and cycling up to the top of the hill where there's a really good view of all of the valley.
Lovely.
And watching the sun go down. And I literally
beautiful.
would go up there and have a couple of drinks and a chat on the phone with my friends.
Oh, that's great.
And I called it my beer garden. Where really it was the Offers Dyke public footpath.
Hey, you make it what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, it was a good spot, so.
Yeah. Oh, you just reminded me, like, from what you're doing, it's like you're adapting, which is wonderful. And sorry, just going to mention the crowbar again, because it ended up with him saying that he was reading a story, I think, to his daughter, and it was about pirates, and then the pirate ship broke or sank, and he was like, oh, that's sad, and his daughter was like, it doesn't matter, he can get another pirate ship. And it was in that moment he realised, he said that the landlord, when he started the business, also said, these are just four walls, it's the people that make it a pub, the people that make it a place. So we'll adapt, he'll adapt, there'll be another crowbar, there will be another crowbar, because we're all still the people that need that place, no matter what the place is, the raves, and there's always in a different fucking place, and you go to a different gig at a different venue, these things adapt. They can try and force every fucking building to be a goddamn block of flats, but we'll all just break into one block of flats and turn it into a party for a night, because can't stop our need to socialise and enjoy each other.
Exactly.
And we'll always be, I just believe we'll always be able to be ourselves, no matter how we adapt to it.
Yeah.
And that's what you were doing by going up to the top and drinking and talking to your friends.
Yeah, and literally just video call and stuff. It's I have a lot of friends that are literally all over the world.
Yes.
And to have a Zoom birthday party where I have my friends in Miami and Brazil and Spain and all over the UK, that have never met each other, to have them all there together and stuff, it's just, it's kind of nice in a way, because otherwise people will be out, busy, never really kind of having the time to do these things. So time is something that we can still give to people with those conversations and things.
Yeah.
And also just patience, that some people are gonna feel good someday, some people are gonna feel angry, some people are the introverts have thrived fuck during this time, right? So one of my friends is super introverted. She probably would go out for a drink with someone maybe once every 3 weeks. Me and her talk on the phone all the time, mostly just through voice notes on WhatsApp.
Yeah, same. They're incredible.
Or messaging or whatever. But me and her have got so close now, and she's just thrived during this time. Navina doesn't like to go out and meet loads of people, and she always felt the pressure of people being oh, I'm in your neighbourhood, let's go and have a glass of wine, and she's and then now she doesn't have to do that, so because it's just part of her personality. I'm someone I like to kind of go out and do stuff, but I'm just seeing this time okay, just our grandparents were very partial to a sherry.
Oh yeah.
So where their ashes are scattered, there's a load of like gorse bushes, and you see all the valley and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just by Bishop's Castle.
Oh, lovely.
And we always have a bottle of sherry stashed in the gorse bushes. So we got the sherry out and we drank this bottle of sherry.
That's
and
amazing.
Then, bearing in mind that half hasn't left the house in like 5 months.
Yeah.
She's a primary school teacher, so she's been teaching loads. So we got this bottle of sherry and drank it on the hill. God knows how. We didn't realise like that sherry should be like drank within 3 weeks of opening.
No, that's not true. Sherry, it's like wine. It gets better with age. Like
okay.
Our family, we have sherry from the 60s.
Yeah.
And it only comes out at Christmas. But yeah, it's meant to ferment.
Okay, fair play then.
Yeah.
So yeah, we half was like, we're going to the pub. Bearing in mind that she's not been out of the house for like, well, this was like the way at the like end of July it was.
Yeah.
And she's not been out of the house since I think like February when it first kind of like before there was even lockdown. So then we did a pub crawl from the bottom of Bishop's Castle, all the pubs to the top and back down again.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we were rat ass. So
amazing.
And the weekend after, then me and Shana like got a table at the Castle Hotel in the garden, and then we just like invited loads of people that we knew that were like, because most of mine and Shana's friends have kind of all like left Bishop's Castle, like they're not really there, but everyone was back at their parents' house for lockdown.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh my god, Joss, are you coming to the like,
everyone is like 16 again.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you'd be like, oh my god, that sounds like Scott. He must be back from Australia, and he hasn't been like here for like 2 years. But oh my god, man, how you doing?
Yeah.
And it was just like this coming together that you used to get when everyone was at uni.
Yes.
And used to come back for Christmas,
Yeah.
and then you'd see everyone in the pub, and then now everyone's kind of got their own lives, and it's all happened like they all go wherever, and then it was just this huge reunion of people. Did you have that by any?
No. Like I've been in London for most of it, and then I was going to gigs when they were allowed up again, and so I was seeing those same kind of people, and we were all like, I can't remember when it was, after the first lockdown, and then going to that first gig in East London, the first band playing, and then hearing that music through those speakers. It was just, I feel like now I have this greater appreciation for music. As much as I've always loved music and it's always been so important, that actual physical feeling of the sound and the big sound and how it pushes you and that vibration within your body is magical. And now I feel like the fact that we are lacking in it, the need for it more, and the appreciation for when you hear it is there even more, and like the love of it. And like I was playing some Andy C through, I got this new Andy C.
Yeah.
I was playing Nightlife Volume 4 through my new little Bose wireless speaker, which is a fucking beast. It's that big, it's a brick, and the sound is phenomenal. And
I got the Bose headphones, the silent ones.
And
actually the other night I was just like, I put on a load of music, and they have like a battery in them, so you can like put the bass up a bit more, and I'm like, oh, what it feels like to be in a club.
Yes. Yeah, so we were playing that, and then last night I dreamt that my housemate was putting on a festival or something, and it was all I know about the music and the conversation and all that, but I forgot my point where I was going with it. Oh yeah, so with the lockdown and the music, like how important that was, and just like I'd spoken to mates that are putting on gigs over the phone, and we're all like, oh, how's it going for you, and all this kind of stuff, and then to be there back with them, and it's like, oh, we're back, we're back, we're doing it, it's as it was, we're adapting, but it's working. Then it continued, then it stopped, and like still in contact, but some people are adapting again. just trying to get other jobs, and other people are just fucking struggling, and rightly so. Like this dangle of carrot of hope. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on about negative things, but we're always trying. We're always trying to adapt and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, been getting to see people, and in between the last lockdown, was it around December or something, I was meeting up with my friend Mark, who was he's making a short film. We've been planning on making this short film, like I'm assisting him, for like 6 months, and because of everything, it's just like can't do it. And so we met up in a pub in like London somewhere, and at the door they were like, do you two live together? And he said no, and we're like, okay. And then she said, are you here for a business meeting? And I said, yes we are. She's like, great, you can sit inside then.
Oh, amazing.
And this pub was amazing. They were just, hear the rules and you're sticking by them, but how you interpret them was very appreciative. So we sat down, they table service, and they said, oh, here's the menu, just order one of the snack things at your convenience. And then halfway through the pint they were like, oh yeah, what would you like? And so we got something, and then
is this the Scotch egg phase, right?
Yeah, the Scotch egg phase.
Where basically everyone, like, I love a Scotch egg.
Oh, I'm not a fan
of it. How that was then a substantial meal.
Fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So
half a pizza or a Scotch egg.
Half a pizza, that's fine. Yeah. So then I was like, we were talking about the music video. Showed him I was nearly editing the end of my first documentary, and we just clicked. We've been talking on the phone a lot, messaging each other. He recommended some podcasts, and like we are just on the same level together, both passionate about film. He's such a lovely guy. And then so the drinks kept coming, and so then 5 pints later, and some.
How many Scotch eggs?
I had like some bread and hummus stuff, and it was great, and I should have eaten more, to be honest.
So what made me laugh actually around Christmas time was, like, I went to the pub, and how many men were all sat there basically doing their sort of like Friday night pint, all on separate tables like this, all with an untouched bowl of pasta, and I made her on the table, and they were just drinking pints, like chatting with their friends, all sat on separate tables. And it's like, I said to the waitress, I was like, are they buying these bowls, or are they rented? They just rent it for the night, and then they just pass it on.
It's true,
to someone else, because no one's going to touch it.
I know. I think that
was always bullshit thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like Corona doesn't care if you got some fucking food in front of you.
I saw a meme actually, and like someone sat at Wetherspoons with a pint, and like Corona was like the Corona like pouring of the virus. Like here, and then like someone came and put like a Scotch egg down, and then like Corona just left, went vanished.
I mean, surely you're more at risk because you're then opening and closing your mouth more whilst eating. I don't fucking know. Whatever.
Yeah. My friend's actually made a hole in his mask so he can smoke a fag through it.
Well, that's just stupid, isn't it?
Obviously, it was stunning. It was done ironically. But.
Yeah. I saw a meme or a photo of people in an orchestra playing instruments with a mask that had a hole through it to play their flutes and stuff, and it's just like, that's silly. But I just want to continue saying about me and Mark meeting up in the pub, and any time you had to wear a mask was going to the toilet. It's fair enough, but coming back and just there was a fire, and just seeing all these tables and people talking, it's like, normality. This is so wonderful, and we're doing it, and we're back to it. And then after that, they were like, the table's booked. But I think we were fucking pissed, so, and it was so good to be that rat-assed. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And then we left, and then the next day I met up with my friend who was just going to come over and play some games. and we went to go to my local pub, and then it was completely different. And me and the friend went to the pub the next night, and they're like, yeah, do you have a reservation? No, we just want to get a bit of food and go. And they're like, sorry, we're completely booked. Empty fucking pub. And I was like, look, that says book from 8. It's 7 now, we'll be here now. And they're like, okay, that's fine. And we're like, okay, can we get a couple of pints? And like, yeah, just need to order some food. And like, okay, there's this hog roast thing going on, so we'll order that. And they basically said, you're not allowed to have a drink until your food turns up.
What?
And it was like, why? What logic is this? And I said again, Corona doesn't give a shit if I've got a pint or some food in front of me. This is silly. This is your choice and how you're interpreting it. And then they're like, oh, well, sorry, you've got to have the food first. And then they're like, well, the food's going to be a half an hour wait. So we're like, fine, we'll wait for the food. So we just sat there waiting without anything, without food or drink for half an hour. And I said to the manager, I was like, right, you're just losing out on business, because I said we want the food, but we want the pint until our food comes here. So you're missing out on money, because when the food gets here, we're going to go. And we're not going to get the pint. And he was like, oh yeah, but Corona.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
And
it's been used as such a bullshit excuse for so many things.
It's bewildering that someone that is of same age range as us, or close to me than you, that chooses to not engage their brain and just feels like this conversation is too much hard work to even form an opinion.
Yeah.
And then can just go Corona at any point. And so then when our food turns up, this twat said, so what do you want to drink? And I was like, are you joking? We've had this conversation. Goodbye. And that was it. And it's like, you guys suck. Like, it's hard enough for businesses.
Yeah.
But stop making it harder for yourselves.
Yeah.
When the situation doesn't change.
Yeah.
We're here. That's the problem. It's bodies in a vicinity.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter or make a difference if that body is in a vicinity that's ordered a pint that's earned your pub more money than not. Anyway, they're all closed now anyway, so it doesn't matter. That was a bit ranty, I do apologise.
No, go for it. No, I know